Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. How are you all? Hope you people are doing good at your homes and having fun during your e-learning classes. Remember kids, you have to take advantage of these classes. You have to stay connected and motivated to learn. Okay kids, let's quickly begin our today's lesson. Today we are going to read our reader, The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes. And I want you to take out your books and your pencils or highlighter, whatever you like, and turn to the next chapter, which is The Dancing Men Part 2, page number 6. Hurry up, get ready. Okay, here we are on page number 6, The Dancing Men Part 2. Kids, please do remember to underline any difficult word you find, and you can ask me the meaning of that word in the comments. Okay? Something has happened. Sherlock Holmes was very quiet for next few days after the meeting with Mr. Cabot. I saw him take the piece of paper from his book many times and look carefully at the pictures of dancing men. But he said nothing about it to me until about 2 weeks later. I was going out when he called me back. "Please stay here, Watson." "Why?" "Because I have just received this telegram from Mr. Cabot," he said, giving the telegram to me. I read the words, "Something has happened. Will call at your rooms this morning. Cabot." We didn't have to wait long. In short time, Mr. Cabot arrived looking tired and worried. "This is very bad, Mr. Holmes," he said, sitting down in the chair. Slowly, these messages are killing my wife. What can I do? What does it mean?" "Has she said anything yet?" Not yet. I'm sure she wants to speak to me about it, but she can't. She's too frightened to talk about it." "But do you have anything new to tell me?" "Yes, Mr. Holmes. I have some more pictures of the dancing men, and I have seen the man who draws them." "You have seen him?" "Yes, I have. But let me tell you everything. After my last visit to you, the very first thing I saw next morning were some more pictures of dancing men. They had been drawn on the small building in our garden, so I could see them easily from the window of my room. Look, this is what they were like this time. Can you see the pictures of dancing men? Okay kids, do you know what's happening actually? Mr. Cabot is now worried because the dancing men pictures are now more frequently seen around him, and his wife is not telling him actually who the person is and why he is drawing these pictures. And these pictures are actually messages. Let's read on now. Very good. Please go on," said Holmes. "Well, I washed away the pictures after I had copied them, Mr. Holmes, but the next morning there were 9 more pictures on the door. Look, these were the pictures drawn on the door." Holmes looked very pleased and smiled. "This is just what I need," he said. 3 days later there was another one. Here it is. Can you see the picture of dancing men, kids? These pictures are actually messages that stranger is drawing for Mr. Cabot's wife, and he wants to talk to his wife, but Mr. Cabot's wife really gets afraid when she sees these messages, and Mr. Cabot is really worried that why his wife is so afraid of these messages, of these pictures actually. And these pictures are the pictorial form of the messages, and each dancing man is actually representing an alphabet, and we will know that in further chapter. Okay, let's carry on. "It was on piece of paper in the garden. You see, it is just like the others." Cabot sees the stranger. Cabot waited for Holmes to look at the pictures, and then he continued with his story. "After that I decided to wait and try to catch that man who was doing it. So I sat in my office. I can easily see the garden from my office window. At about 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, I was sitting near the window. I heard someone behind me. It was my wife. She asked me to come to bed and to stop worrying about the dancing men. She said we should go away for a holiday to forget about the whole thing. But just as she spoke, I saw something moving in the garden. It was a man moving slowly in the dark towards the house. I took my gun. I was going to run out into the garden, but my wife threw her arms around me and asked me not to move. She held me tightly and would not let me go out. At last I got free, but it was too late. By the time I had opened the door and reached the garden, the men had gone. But there on the door was the same picture of dancing men that I had found twice before. And although I couldn't find him anywhere in the garden, the next morning there was another picture of the dancing men on the door. This time it was under the line of dancing men which I had already seen. Look, this is what they looked like. Look, kids, there was another message. Holmes was very excited by this. Tell me, Mr. Cabot, what was this second group of dancing men part of the first group? It was on a different part of the door, Mr. Holmes. Very good. That is most important. And will you be staying long here in London? No, I must go back today. I can't leave my wife alone in the house at night. She's too frightened. You are right. Then leave these pictures with me. In a few days' time I will visit you. I hope I will have some good news for you then. We go to North Walsham. As soon as Mr. Cabot left, Holmes put all the pictures of the dancing men on the table. He studied them closely. For 2 hours he worked, writing numbers and letters in his book. Actually, what Holmes is trying to do, he is actually trying to decode the dancing men pictures into alphabets. And then he will put the alphabets with each picture and decode the messages that the stranger is drawing to communicate with Mr. Cabot's wife. Then he suddenly stood up and turned to me. Watson, I want you to send this telegram. If this brings the answer I hope for, we will soon know the meaning of this puzzle. I didn't know what to think, but I decided to wait until Holmes told me what he was thinking. For 2 days we heard nothing. Then, on the evening of the second day, a letter arrived from Mr. Hilton Cabot. In it was another picture. He had found it that morning in the garden. Look, this message seems to be the bigger one, the big message. Holmes studied it closely for several minutes. His face suddenly turned white. This had gone far enough. Is there a train to North Walsham tonight? I looked at the newspaper. The last train had just gone. Then we shall take the first train in the morning, said Holmes. Just then the reply to this telegram arrived. Holmes read the telegram and then said, Yes, just as I thought. It is most important we get to North Walsham as quickly as we can. The next morning we took the first train to North Walsham. When we arrived we asked the station master if he could tell us how to get to Mr. Cabot's house. He turned to us with a worried look on his face. Are you the detectives from London? Why do you ask? Asked Holmes. Because a policeman was here a short time ago. He said there had been a shooting at the manor, and some detectives were coming to find out what had happened. Or perhaps one of you gentlemen is a doctor. He said a doctor was coming too. But you must hurry, she is not dead yet. Holmes turned to the station master. Do you mean Ridlingthorpe Manor, the home of Mr. and Mrs. Hilton Cabot? What has happened? Oh dear, it is very bad, I'm afraid, sir. Both Mr. Cubbit and his wife have been shot. The servants say that Mrs. Cubbit shot her husband, and then tried to kill herself. Mr. Cubbit is dead, but his wife is still alive. Okay, that seems interesting. So this is the end of chapter 2. I hope you have enjoyed it. See you soon. Allah Hafiz.